Granddad was a priest in Trinidad. He used to tell us when there's no more room in hell, the podcasters will walk the earth. Dawn of the Dead, coming up next.
Haven't Seen It with Kim Siskito and Tommy Tevene. Hello, everybody. Welcome on in. Thank you all so much for listening today. This is a podcast where one of us is watching a movie for the very first time. And today, that person is myself, watching my first Romero zombie movie.
So this isn't your first zombie movie in general, right? Because
No, I've seen zombie movies and stuff.
Like Shaun of the Dead and have you watched The Walking Dead at all, at least?
No, Shaun of the Dead might be the only zombie movie I've ever seen, to be completely honest with you.
Well, it is my favorite one. So, but this is right up there too. So, first impressions, what do you think of zombies in this?
I liked how humanistic they are. I like that they're real, that they're there. If I have one complaint to make before we dive deep into the film, it's the fact that there's like 5 different versions of this movie, and trying to find a stream of this movie. I literally had to call Tommy and be like, why can't I find this movie? Where is this streaming? I'm typing in on the Amazon Fire Stick, Dawn of the Dead, Romero zombie movies, and the only one that's popping up is the Zack Snyder one from 2004. I'm like, Tommy, I'm calling him. I'm like, dude, what is going on here? And then he's like, all right, just go on YouTube. They're all there. I'm like, I go on YouTube, I search it. There's like 5 different versions of the movie full. I'm like, what am I picking here? What is this?
So that was apparently a thing. I looked it up. Dario Argento, the Italian filmmaker, he had the international rights to the cut of this. So he made a bunch of cuts of it there. And then there was cuts of less gore in it, more humor. And apparently all physical copies of Dawn of the Dead on DVD and Blu-ray are out of print right now because the producer just hiked up the price of the licensing fee just because he made a 3D version of this movie. And he spent so much money into it that now it's just impossible to get this on Blu-ray or DVD.
So because he made a 3D version of this movie, which this movie would be horrible in 3D.
Oh, no, I actually saw it in 3D over the summer. They were playing at the New York City Museum of Modern Art. The producer was there. The original star of the movie was there. The 3D actually really worked, especially in scenes where the zombies pop out of the elevator and stuff like that.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. So that happens. You're like, oh, God, the zombies are right there.
That's interesting. I'm guessing that was made circa 2010-ish when 3D was. Remember 3D TVs? Do you remember those? Remember when they were like, "This is the future. You're gonna have to sit and wear glasses."
No one
to
ever
watch a baseball game.
The only thing that ever caught on in was and this is the end when they get high and watch the 3D TVs, because that was the only time I ever heard 3D TVs get brought up ever.
That's some killer product placement right there. That's what that is. And it was very effective, clearly, because the sales of 3D TVs. Do you think if I went on eBay right now, I could get a 3D TV for $50?
Probably. People are just like, oh, God, why did I buy this? Well, because James Cameron made Avatar, and then everyone's like, oh, we got to do 3D.
Aping industry. That's what this film industry is. They just aped off of everything. Speaking of a movie that has been aped, Dawn of the Dead.
In 1968, George Romero brought us Night of the Living Dead. It became the classic horror film of its time. Now, George Romero brings us the most intensely shocking motion picture experience for all times. Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead contains scenes of violence that may be considered shocking. No one under 17 will be admitted.
Finally, a zombie apocalypse film set in a shopping mall. Look no further than the George Romero classic Dawn of the Dead from 1978. If you want to live out your fantasy of having everything you could possibly want right at your fingertips, look no further than this wildly original film. Made in an era when filmmakers had full control, little did Romero know, 30 years later, that creatively bankrupt studio executives would rip it all to make a cheap buck. Now, what kind of director could they get if they were going to remake this? I wonder. Now, Tommy, you famously love the original, right? Or
I
not
mean,
the original, the remake.
I love both versions, but they're two wildly different movies. This movie's more of like a character study, like a less like there's only really four main characters really, and it's focused on them. Whereas the Zack Snyder version's like a balls to the wall action movie. I remember I saw Shaun the Dead and Dawn of the Dead remake in the same weekend, and then I became a horror fan ever since. So that's where it started.
Right, so that was the start of it. That was the start of your obsession with this genre.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, those were the first two horror movies I ever got really into, and then like I remember they played on like Comedy Central for Sean, Sci-Fi Channel for the Dawn of the Dead remake, and I was like, okay, zombies, I'm in. Horror movies, what else is there?
So tell me, what is like the some of the bigger differences between the remake of Dawn of the Dead and the original?
Well, I think that the remake is a kind of like the perfect example of a remake, like we are talking back on the thing where it's the same concept, zombies in a mall, but the execution is wildly different. In Zack Snyder's version, the zombies are fast and running at you. It's pretty much like a full marathon sprint kind of zombie. And in that aspect, in the Dawn of the Dead remake, there's like 20 characters, and really, you don't really get enough time with a lot of the characters. So it's just more so just going from set piece to set piece. It's like an action movie, and this is more slow. You really just get character. Like this movie, the original movie, becomes a hangout movie at one point.
It's like a half an hour of them just enjoying life at the mall.
Yeah, it's great. It's probably like some of my favorite scenes in the movie. So I mean, I think the remake is fun, but the original is a lot better.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is a movie, a chaotic movie. And from what I was reading behind the scenes, it was kind of chaotic filming it.
Mhm.
And they kind of had to make a lot of the sequences up on the spot. And I think it gives this movie this like level of authenticity to it that other movies don't, like the improv nature of having to do everything on the fly, right?
Mhm.
That really works in this movie's favor. Whereas in other kinds of movies of this kind of ilk and kin, I don't necessarily know if it would work as well.
Yeah, because sometimes, I mean, there's some things I love about this movie is that, like, this movie, for example, has very distinctive zombies, which I think is the best part of like any zombie movie. I mean, that's a hallmark of a good one. We have visually distinct ones. Like, tell me, what was your favorite zombie in this movie, if you had to call one out?
I don't know if I have a favorite zombie because there's a lot of zombies, and I really like how many extras did they have to use? Like 500 at least.
Yeah, yeah. So apparently Tom Savini like had a crew of 8 people, and they would spend like just like the whole time every shoot just getting 200, 300 zombies just made up, and just like it's crazy because nowadays, like World War Z, the Brad Pitt movie, just had CGI zombies at some points. It's not the same level of dedication to it.
Well, I think the other thing I think of when I'm watching like a zombie movie is that they're not human anymore. And I think there was a connection between like having these people just be very simply face painted light blue. It was exactly what they, it made it connected because like the overarching narrative, quote unquote, of this survival movie, because this movie is really just a hangout movie in a mall with zombies in it,
Yeah.
is that there's a parasite that's making people into zombies. They don't call them that, but they hunt for human flesh, and you get the radio and television broadcast throughout the movie that kind of shows the different like how on a national scale they're looking at this, how they're treating this, and like having them almost look like your neighbor but just slightly different. It allows you to connect it where a lot of different modern zombie properties between movies, TV, games, whatever, they're all kind of like crawling out of the ground and no longer humanoid, like the faces are completely melt up. Like they look like orcs, basically.
Yeah, they look like just like real monsters where it's just like the flesh is peeling off, and it's like cool special effects, but you don't really get as much of a human element right there. Whereas this movie just has scenes of like literally the zombies just walking around the mall, especially towards the end of the movie. And it's hilarious because it's just like really just George Romero commenting on like how much consumer culture sucks, or it's just like, yeah, it should be the exact same thing. People will just be walking around the mall. You're literally a zombie when you're going around consumer shopping.
Yeah, that there's definitely that part of it. Romero's commentary on consumerism, on capitalism, what people are like on their day to day. Is there any really that big of a difference? And like, think about how the way the zombies kind of attack people. Look at clips from Black Friday. I mean, that didn't really exist back then, but it was a good indication of behavior. The people that storm those stores on Thanksgiving
Mhm.
are basically zombies for a $400 TV.
Yeah, just stampeding and everything like that. It's just like mobs of people. So you really get to see the connection really great in this one.
You asked what my favorite zombie was. I think my favorite moment in regards to a zombie was when they went out, the trio of guys went out to
Mm,
lock the door, and they go and the woman, what's her name? Francine, played
mm,
by Galen Ross.
mm,
She locks the department store door, which was basically like their hub area,
mm.
and there's a guy in a baseball uniform
Oh,
who's like on the floor banging, and it's just her like relieved that they can't get through it, and her just looking at him. And she's pregnant, so I think she's a little more insightful into the fact that these were once people,
yeah.
and it kind of I think it's driving her a little crazy that something happened. Also,
Mm,
I to this movie's credit, I'm so glad they don't try to explain the science or the logic
mm.
behind it. It's just a zombie outbreak. We don't need to know.
Exactly. I mean, if they try to over explain it, it'd be too much. But of course, you picked the baseball zombie. That would be your favorite. Yeah, staying on brand right there. Mine was probably the monk zombie that was up
And
there.
the
The monk
monk was
zombie.
really good. The
Yeah,
monk
that
was
was
really good. I like the nun where she's stuck in the door and then
yeah,
Francine like lets her out and she like
yeah.
wanders off.
And there's the nurse zombie that ends up in like every single goddamn shot somehow in her little nurse outfit. So I mean, it's just great because these are things I keep on picking up on when I watch this movie, over and over again. Whereas, I've seen some zombie movies where it's just like they don't even look like people; they just look like just random like shadow monsters, practically.
So it's weird because I haven't seen Night of the Living Dead, but I know that kind of created the rule set of
Mhm.
zombie movies. Like these two movies are kind of like the grandfather of them all for in terms of like zombie movies, and all the rules that any zombie property follows nowadays is an
Mhm.
homage to these movies.
Yeah, pretty much like I'd say Night of the Living Dead's kind of like his proof of concept right there. The problem with that movie for George is that somehow they fucked up the copyright on that movie. So that movie's now in the public domain, even though it was made in the '60s. You can literally watch on YouTube for free, but not in the way we did it like Dawn of the Dead, which was probably us breaking a copyright law. FBI, sorry, but
FBI
he
agent who's watching this recording, it was just to record this. It was for no other reason.
I my first watch yesterday was on my DVD, so I was legal, Timmy. I don't know. You might be.
Listen, FBI agent, I tried. You can watch the tape back of me speaking into an Alexa remote like I'm a total moron trying to find this. And you have the copy of me and Tommy calling, being like, "Where can I get this movie?" And he's like, "It's only on YouTube, man."
Well, but yeah, pretty much just like this one just upped the ante in terms of like this was just like the real full proof of concept. Or it's just like the Tom Savini makeup effects are just so great. Like the blood kind of looks like cartoonish in a way, but it works for the tone of this film because it's kind of like a cartoony comic booky kind of thing going.
Oh yeah, it's got that. Well, there's a lot of moments of humor sprinkled in throughout this movie. I really like at the beginning when they get away because it opens with Roger and Francine who are just in the TV studio execs like running away, and then we're
Mhm.
introduced to Steven and Peter who are like these SWAT teams in some
You got to
inner
mix up
city.
Roger and Steven or
Uh,
the other guys. Yeah.
okay, so Steven and Francine,
Yeah.
and then Roger and Peter. Sorry, they all have like generic people names, and the characters
Yeah.
don't really get defined in this movie too much. Like they don't really spend a ton of time defining their
Well, yeah, I
characters.
mean, Steven's more called Flyboy than he is by his real name. So,
Yeah, so Flyboy and Francine,
yeah.
Peter and Roger are the SWAT team duo that are just kind of like cracking skulls in some inner city like apartment complex. They meet up at this helicopter port that's not really explained either why they all just get together there. But they fly away, and this is just one of the first moments of like real levity because the first 10 minutes of this movie are insanely tense.
Yeah.
Like it's really tense. And then this is a nice moment to remind you, like, hey, we're gonna crack some jokes in here.
Hey, you got any cigarettes?
Any of you guys got cigarettes? No, I'm sorry.
Where you headed? Downriver. We got an idea. Maybe we can make it to the island.
What island?
Any island. What about you? Where you headed?
Straight up.
So yeah, I love moments of levity in movies like this that are tense, especially in the facial expressions of the actor who's like, "Oh, what's your plan? We're trying to go to an island. What island? Any island.
Yeah.
Where are you guys headed off to? Up." It's like, oh, that's a pretty good idea.
Just so dopey. And meanwhile, this guy's like main priority in the apocalypse is, hey, do you have some cigarettes? Can I get some fucking cigarettes over here? It's just like this guy has his priorities straight. And, it's just like survival is one thing, but cigarettes, that's top tier right there.
To be fair, I don't smoke cigarettes, but if I was going to smoke cigarettes, zombie apocalypse would probably make the list in terms of when I would do it. Tommy, what is your zombie apocalypse plan? We have to ask the question. It's the most generic question ever, but it's
the most generic question. I was such a goddamn zombie nerd when I was in high school that I'd take those like Quizella quiz of like how would you survive the zombie apocalypse. I'd probably go to like a Walmart or a mall like this movie and just like get everything I need right there, like find a liquor store nearby so I have some entertainment. And like in my zombie apocalypse plan, the electricity never goes out, so I still have like electricity to play like Xbox or some shit.
Oh my god, Tommy.
Just hole up at a GameStop wherever and just like find.
You literally can't get through a zombie apocalypse without 2K. Are you fucking kidding me, dude?
Oh yeah.
Well, my manager, I could just put my credit card and I can blindly make those microtransactions because
it's the zombie apocalypse.
Who cares about my credit score? That's not going to matter anymore.
Well, yeah, I mean, at that point, I need something to keep me sane, and apparently that's 2K. So. Have that going for me.
Very on brand for you.
What's your one? Do you have a specific one?
A specific one? I would definitely arm myself to the gills, and I would probably make my way into the woods, like just get as far away from civilization as possible.
Yeah, you see, I'm the person that Romero's like fucking like criticizing, like, oh, you stupid consumer. Whereas you're the one that's just like the survivalist. It's just like, I'm gonna live out in the woods. I got this.
Oh, I mean, I'm not making it long in the woods, but that's where I'm going.
Yeah, that's your strategy. Mine would probably just be like getting like killed on the first day, even though like I've seen all the zombie movies. Just because like I try to like run to the store. Like when quarantine happened, I remember one of the things I did was I ran to GameStop because I heard that GameStop was gonna close.
Tommy.
Priorities right there. So I mean, like,
I can just say this is all incredibly on brand for the folks at home. Like none of this is surprising me.
So I mean, there's one thing, a little transition here, but like I love like the news reports in this movie, how they dole it out. It kind of gives it almost a documentary feel. And watching this movie in kind of a post-COVID lens, it kind of reminds me sometimes of like the beginning of how COVID started, of just chaos on the news where no one understood what was happening and just the confusion that comes from that.
Yeah, actually, I have a clip here of that moment, right? Of them realizing how, watching it break down on the national scale, like having the doctor in there, they're looking to this broadcast as a beacon of hope. And each time it just gets worse and worse and worse
Dummies!
You're suggesting
Dummies! Dummies!
Excuse me. Listen, quiet.
One wonders whether it's worth saving. It's worth saving. For all I know, the brains are already dead, and it's the idiots that are still alive. And I figured out how to stay alive, too. And I'm trying to help you, dummies.
In your calm, helping way, you do irritate people by the illogical way. It's an illogical way.
Illogical hell. I'm showing you a way that we can up the food supply 20 times.
But the food supply for who?
For a whole specimen that is walking around there in increasing numbers.
We should feed them?
What else are you going to do with them? God. Give me an alternative.
Thought you scientists could come up with an actual way to solve the problem rather than feeding the opposition. Doesn't make any sense.
Well,
It's just chaos on the broadcast. It's everything you want. It's any viral clip from a news studio. That's what this is, right? It's people just bickering at the end of their wits, having no actual answers for a problem they can't even really define other than like what it is, but they can't define why it is.
That just like the meltdown right there in the studio where, I mean, like I said, it reminds me a lot of like 2 years ago of COVID. I mean, obviously COVID didn't get to the extent that zombies did, but you can see the parallels right there for the pandemic.
I guess. I mean, people trapped in one place, right? Most storefronts closed or whatever. And then you just have this renegade crew of people sitting in there in a mall, just holding it down. And I thought that's what made the ending interesting, because there's basically like they kill all the zombies in the mall. They have the mall to themselves. And then basically it's just a half an hour of them using the mall to its fullest extent.
Just like the arcades, like arcade games looked insane back then, but just fine dining, just like everything. It's the perfect quarantine spot because just you have everything right there for you.
And I think it was interesting because one of the things I was noticing, because when I clicked the runtime, most horror movies are 90 to 95 minutes, if that. This was 2 hours and 7 minutes long runtime, which I was very surprised about, like going in, and it didn't feel its length, but I wasn't expecting it to be that long, and I really like that Romero took the time to let it play out like that, like to give us the idea of being like, because everybody's sitting there in the theater watching this movie and going, well, what do I do if I just have free access to a mall that I live in with all the products still there?
Yeah. And it literally just gives you the idea right there. I mean, like the remake doesn't have this kind of feel to it where they don't have moments to let the characters breathe really at all. So that's what's lacking now in like, a more modern version of this. I don't think audiences would have the patience really to get through of just like 30 minutes of the characters just hanging out. And that's why personally I love this movie.
So Tommy, you told me you were like, I could watch a 5-hour cut of this movie. What moments would you want in that movie?
I mean, honestly, just like more of them hanging out in the mall and just like, seeing what the bikers were up to, or like seeing like more of the news studio and how that broke down. I mean, there's just so much of just the world building right here that just seems great to me in a way. There's just so much stuff like just like of them, the arcade hanging out, or just like even, the movie ends with them on the helicopter and it's just like, okay, what happens next? So it's kind of crazy thinking about just like, what would go on and on and on, with this movie. There's one thing I wanted to bring up about how in The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman made The Walking Dead because he said, zombie movies, they end at the end of it, and then we don't see what the end is at all. And we want to see that go on and on. We want to see that be the continuation. I was talking about The Walking Dead.
You're talking about The Walking Dead. Tommy, I was here the whole time. I just dozed off because you were talking about The Walking Dead.
So yeah, I mean, what I was saying was like Robert Kirkman, he created The Walking Dead, the comic, because he said like, every zombie movie just ends, and yet there's still so much story to be told. What if we made a zombie movie that just never ended? And that's what, now we have like 12 seasons of The Walking Dead. So I don't know, maybe a little too much.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that this didn't end up becoming franchised, right?
Mhm.
Like I I know that they make Day of the Dead in 1985, but this movie was made on a $600,000 budget, which with the makeup effects like blows my mind,
Mhm.
to be frank with you. But I mean, you see where the other budget cuts are made. Like it's shot in with using fluorescent lights. Like I don't think there's a ton of like creative like flashy creative camera work or like on that
Mhm.
cinematography side, right? Like that's not what this movie's about.
No.
But the creativity from the filmmaking comes in the way that they fight the zombies. And like I mean, you feel it in the last 15 minutes of the movie, right?
Mhm.
When the biker gang led by Tom Savini breaks into the mall because they're like they see the helicopter flying.
Yeah, that's all I need to know. And Savini with the mustache, what's it called? Fucking comb. He's just so perfectly campy. It's just like the Easy Rider, just like basic generic biker gang right there.
I like that they because I was sitting there wondering, I'm like, like what are they going to do to end this? Like they have a fortress to protect from the zombies, but I didn't account for humans
Mhm.
ending up being the villain. And I guess that's another theme too. It's like humans destroy humans, right?
Yeah. I mean, because at the end of the day, zombie movies, it's just really just the setting and what comes out of it is the human drama. And for me, the human drama really works here. Whereas a show like The Walking Dead, I think a lot of people got sick of that because it's just like there was some episodes where there'd be no zombies and just be people talking, and the human drama wasn't compelling enough to justify the lack of zombies.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard the first season of The Walking Dead's incredible, and then
Mhm.
like when that was when what's his name, the guy from the Shawshank Redemption,
For, yeah,
Frank Darabont, like wasn't fully in control of that first season, and then I think he left after that first or second season, right? And then
yeah,
or just executive producer and title alone or whatever, but he wasn't hands on with the experience, and obviously got away from the graphic novel too. I
Mhm.
can't believe that it's just still on the air. Like it's
It's
finishing
in,
its run, right? Yeah.
I think this is its final season, and it's season like 11 or 12. But even then, like AMC is just whoring out that franchise where like they're doing so many spin-offs now because they just want to keep that cash grab going.
To be fair to them though, like they had what Breaking Bad, Mad Men.
Mhm.
Breaking Bad got the spinoff, but like their two most premier shows don't have the kind of branchability that a zombie apocalypse, never ending, pulling from graphic novels would have.
Yeah, I mean, you can see because it's literally just do a zombie show, a different setting. Do a zombie show and whatever, and like fucking Europe and France or whatever, just over and over and over again. There's limitless possibilities, so you can see why I go over and over. But it kind of feels meandering at a certain point.
When did you stop watching The Walking Dead? Like, what was the breaking off point for you?
I watched up until season 5, and the main reason why I stopped watching was because my college radio show was scheduled during season 5 when season 5 was premiering, and by that point, I was like, "This is like homework. I don't. It's a slog right now just to get through this."
That's just why I never picked it up. And like I remember being in college and it'd be like season three, people be like, oh, it's just not as good as it was. And that's a really bad sign for a show when
Yeah,
you're hearing that in season three and not in like season seven, season eight. Like that's when it's expected. You
yeah.
expect at least five quality seasons from a show.
So I mean, thankfully, I mean, this movie, I mean, like, we didn't get like the endless spin-offs of it, whereas it could have diluted the message. But I think that like 2 hour runtime was perfect. I mean, I've seen extended cuts of this, and they still work for me. But I think the theatrical cut that we watched was just the perfect amount of runtime.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So behind the scenes, I kind of mentioned that it was the chaotic improvised shoot, right? They had very limited time, very limited budget.
Yeah. So
I know you have a couple of stories there, Tommy.
So this movie actually filmed in a real mall, whereas the remake they just built the mall because Hollywood money. But they had filmed in the Monroeville Mall in Monroeville, Pennsylvania, and basically filming at the mall began around 10 p.m. shortly after the mall closed and finished at 6 a.m. The mall didn't open until 10:30, but at 6 a.m. the music came on in the mall, and no one knew how to turn it off, so they had just like a very limited window. There's some points in the movie, like that one scene where you hear like the PA speaker be like, "Attention shoppers, There's a great treat for you. I like to imagine that was just accidental and that just came on and they're just like, all right, fuck it, we're gonna keep it in the movie.
Well, in like the creative spirit of this movie, they probably heard it every time it came on, like 6 a.m., and they found a way to work the audio into the movie.
So extras, I mean, like we said, there's like 200 or 300 extras here. They were all given $1, a donut, and a Dawn of the Dead t-shirt.
Hell
So-
yeah. And I bet that if you still have that Dawn of the Dead t-shirt, you want to talk about a good investment. That would sell for a couple thousand easily.
Yeah, you could easily probably just get that. So, I mean, at a certain point in the movie, they were going to have it where the ending was going to be that Peter and Francine were going to kill themselves. And you can kind of see it in like the final cut a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Where Peter like has the gun to his head and like he's about to shoot, but then at the last second he has this like John Wayne moment where he's like going in like, you know, triumphant music. But originally the movie was going to end. He was going to shoot himself as the zombies were coming in, and Francine was going to put her head up to helicopter blades and, you know, get decapitated that way. And then the credits were going to be the helicopter slowly just run out of fuel. So it's like, oh, even if they escaped, they wouldn't have gotten far. But George Romero realized, like, this is a comic book movie. Kind of like, I can't really have that dour ending to this. So he instead made the ending that he did. And they apparently made like the head for Francine to get it cut off. And instead, like, they're like, we can't waste this. So Tom Savini made that the opening headshot, you know, like the head exploding in the beginning.
In the apartment building, right?
Yeah, he repurposed it to make it look like more of just like a
And he
like
put
random.
he put like a beard on it, right? And it just
Yeah.
it looks so off, especially
Yeah.
compared to some of the other ones that are really clean.
Yeah. So I mean, thankfully, it's only like a 5 second thing you see it, so it works. But it's just like, you know, the kind of things they have to do in this kind of production where it's low budget. That, you know, they have to repurpose some things over and over.
I feel like one of the things that these kind of movies have, they just have so much charm when they're made with all these practical effects
Mhm.
that CG just doesn't carry. Like CG just feels a little more feels soulless. Like when you're going back and watching these movies from the 70s, you absolutely see why they are classics and why people talk about them 40, 50 years later, and why Hollywood still apes from them, still tries to branch their success from them.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, like the best zombie movies just have like, you know, practical effects like Shaun the Dead when the guts are getting torn out of characters, and you know, it just looks like real guts, you know.
Dude, that was vicious when they're eating the biker gangs and they're just like blah, blah, and they're just
Yeah.
ripping their guts off.
And one character's screaming while his guts are being eaten. My favorite was the guy who decided in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. So he's like, oh, maybe I should get my blood test.
Oh,
pressure
yeah.
tested.
Well, he does it twice. Like he goes
Yeah.
and then one of his boys pulls him off, and then he realizes it's the end, so he just hooks himself up. He's like, I'm very curious what my blood pressure is going to be
This is
as I'm
important right now.
dying. This is very important. It's good data, though. If you're like a scientist, you have to think like that's a data point that I want. Like, what is your blood pressure right before you get eaten by a zombie? Like, you have to
Yeah.
really look at it in that sense.
As his fucking arm is getting torn off, but it's still just like fucking tense up there. It's
Yeah, and
just
one of the
ridiculous.
last shots you see in the mall is just of the arm sitting in the band or whatever.
Mhm.
They should have showed us what the blood pressure was, man. That would have been a nice touch, but
Yeah, we need
time
to
and
see
money.
that. So, I mean, I just love the music in the end of the movie too, of just like the da, 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 da. It really just adds to the humor right there. I mean, did you watch through the credits?
I didn't watch through the credits because I watched it 15 minutes before we recorded.
Fair enough.
So I didn't have that going for me. But yeah, I enjoyed the music throughout. It was it was like this little synthy vibe, but with all these like very primal downbeats on it, like letting you know that like man is taking a step back in this movie. Like this is hunters and gatherers, and they made their base the place to gather. Like where all the resources as you could ever want and need are here.
100%.
I am a star. I'm a star, I'm a star, I'm a star. I am a big, bright, shining star.
So we really haven't talked on the performances that much. And I think part of that is that in a setting like this, you just need the characters to be there and just their reactions to it. You don't need a ton of character definition. We see that Flyboy and Francine's relationship get strained. a little
Mhm.
more. Like you see that tension when he tries to propose to her at that dinner, and she's like, "Now's not the time," and you could kind of see that heartbreak in him, and he's he keeps turning on the TV, and she's like, "What are we doing?" And
Mhm.
she turns it off, and he goes and puts it back on because they're just waiting for any kind of hope whatsoever. You see like their mental breaks in that. I'd like to
Yeah,
imagine for Francine, she's just like, you can't get me an engagement ring that you stole from a store in a zombie apocalypse. I just can't take it.
yeah, exactly. Just like, come on. I think that Flyboy is my favorite performance in this. Upon rewatch, the humor really comes upon over and over again. And like the beginning of the movie and like throughout the movie, there's just a through line of Flyboy just getting cucked over and over and over again. Like he tries to shoot the zombies in the shed or whatever, and he completely misses and almost kills what's his name, Peter.
Yeah.
And then like Roger comes up, he's like, let me show you how to like actual guy shoots a gun right here, you asshole. Just over and over and over again, just him just getting rejected and just being like, he doesn't know how to shoot a gun whatsoever. He's just like, he's not meant to survive in this world.
No, and he almost does. For me, I think it's Ken Foree as Peter.
Mhm.
I think his cool, calm, collected nature is what I needed in this movie. Like
Mhm.
if he wasn't there, everybody would have eaten themselves apart. But he
Yeah,
was the boss. He was in control of this, and he had the exact definition of what these creatures are.
What the hell are they?
They're us, that's all. There's no more room in hell. When there's no more room in hell, the dead will walk the earth.
Right? He's just so cool, calm, and collected. Like he has the definition of it. Like that's our given definition of it, is that there was just no more room in hell. And again, it's another note on Romero's commentary on society as it held. Like so many people, the people that are dying, most of them are going to hell. Right?
yeah.
Like it's just what he sees the world as at that point, that there's not many good people and that hell is full and
And
that's come to the earth.
And the other characters, like you could see, like Roger getting more reckless as time goes on, and like that's why he ends up dying. And Peter's like really the one character that like there are some cracks in him a little bit, but it's very subtle. It's just him, in the scene in the beginning of the movie, just like killing all those people in the basement. You can see him just getting a little rattled by that. So, but for me, Flyboy is my favorite character, and also because he has the best zombie performance in this whole movie. I
Oh
think
yeah, he's fantastic as the zombie.
just the way he limps around and stuff like that, it's just so creepy and just unsettling.
Really great physical performance by David MG. And also, we didn't really touch on Roger. Like, yeah, he gets reckless, and he's the first one to become a zombie out of the four of them.
Mhm.
And you could just tell how it was killing Peter when he had to kill him. Like he was just sitting at him waiting.
And even his face, just like when he's a zombie, you can tell that he's almost like sad that he's a zombie. Because he's saying earlier in the scene before, being like, I'm gonna try not to do this. I'm gonna try not to come back. And it's just like, oh, you're gonna be a zombie, Roger. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't have you don't have a prayer, man. But very good performances, exactly what the movie needs.
Mhm.
Shout out Tom Savini, also just for being a bad guy and just reveling in it. Like he was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
He was
It's
so good.
just
Like I love when he takes the little comb out and he's just brushing his mustache. Like
yeah.
so 70s.
So campy in just like the perfect way.
Oh yeah. This movie revels in its camp. I don't think we've emphasized how campy this is, but
Mm.
it's right for the tone of the movie. It makes a really dire and dour overtone that kind of surrounds this movie and makes
Mm.
it really enjoyable for the audience to put themselves in that situation.
It almost makes it seem fun, whereas like, at the end of the day, this movie is just depressing when you think about it.
Oh,
But just the tone isn't.
yeah, and I feel like a lot of modern zombie movies try to really play into the horror. Like this movie isn't terrifying or scary, but it utilizes it puts itself in a horror setting
Yeah.
and just turns the camp up to 11.
And it plays more like an adventure movie almost.
Absolutely. Like there's the one of the pirates or the bandits or whatever swinging down off the top of the barricade with the
Yeah.
with the banner, like with
Yeah.
a hammer, like slamming into
So-
them. Like it's just it's silly fun.
Yeah, there's a fucking pie fight with zombies in the middle of this.
It's a really well toned movie, and like you could feel that in the edit of the movie. Like this movie was made in the editing room. They caught a lot of footage and they had to figure out how the hell they were going to cobble this all together.
So it's a good thing we watched this cut because apparently, like some of the other cuts are take out the humor more or something like that, and it's just like the theatrical cut that we watched, just perfect amount,
Absolutely.
Are you ready, comedy partner? Waka waka.
Tommy, would Dawn of the Dead 1978 work as a Muppet adaptation?
I feel like almost 100% because like
Yeah.
just seeing Muppet zombies would just be hilarious, and just like we've been talking about horror movies, just like I've seen like zombies, just like instead of pulling out guts, it's just the felt, and they're eating the felt of the puppets as they're coming in.
And you could go so creative with all the Muppet designs too. Like they would have a field day making all the puppets for this.
Yeah.
It would be a lot of fun. I think the only person you keep as a human is Tom Savini.
Yeah,
correct.
just the crazy biker dude, and everyone else is just fucking a zombie.
So Tommy, review time. Give me your score.
So this is one of my favorite movies. It's a movie that like I discovered when I was in middle school, and I just ate it up. Like wanted to watch the commentary. It's just became a hangout movie where I just wanted to watch this over and over and over again because it really had that feel to it, and just great special effects and just a great little campy tone to it, and just toes the line of just greatness. So I'm gonna give this 5 out of 5. It's rewatchable. I literally watched this yesterday, and then when Timmy was like talking about whatever cut he was trying to find on YouTube, I was like, "Fuck, I'm gonna watch this movie again." So back to back 24 hours. I've seen this movie twice. I love this.
So this movie was really enjoyable to me. I love the pace of this movie. I love the tone of it. I love that Romero's able to sprinkle in his overtones and his commentary on America without beating you over the head. It's just the setting, right? And that's the place where he decides to do it. For me, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's like the ending's really clunky because they had 2 different endings that they made, which is fine. I totally get that, and it's honestly a miracle that they were able to cobble that together because they probably filmed it one way and then realized real quick, like watching a daily, being like, "Oh shit, yeah, no, this won't work. This just will not match what we're seeing on the film here." 4 out of 5, really fun movie, really iconic. Pretty much every zombie media ever made from that point on owes homage to this movie. And you can really see why it's had such a legacy. So, Tommy, any final thoughts?
Thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow us on social media at CNETPod. That's on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And leave us a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Really helps us out. And next week, we're heading to Haddonfield, and we're going to cover John Carpenter's Halloween, a movie that Timmy has also never seen.
Yeah, I mean, you can just chalk that up every October we do Halloween. I'm giving you full control.
Yeah, it's the one time where I get full control over our schedule. So get ready, and we're going to have a fun special guest for that one. So
thank you all so much for listening. We'll see you next week.